Good morning, church. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to our morning moment this morning. I was talking to some friends recently, and we were just kind of processing through some things, and the topic of Psalm 73 came up. I don't know when the last time it was that you read Psalm 73, but that was in our discussion, and the idea kind of fascinated me. So I'm going to let you know what our discussion entailed. Psalm 73 comes from this guy named Asaph, and he was like the Brandon of Israel. In other words, he was the worship leader over all Israel, and he begins to talk and process, and I thought so many of his processings fit with us today. It might sound a little weird, but I'm going to read it to you and then kind of explain. He begins in verse 1. Surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold. For when I envisioned the arrogant, when I saw the prosperity of the wicked, hold on one second. Here's the worship leader, the guy who brings people into the presence of God. And yet he is talking about how he almost lost his own footing. Has this season caused you to almost lose your own footing? And so this was at least a starting point for me to process in a little deeper, to be like, there's so much that's happened with this season, with COVID, with fires, with politics. It's like, where is God in all of it? And so he continues. Look at what he focuses on, though, in his process of almost losing it. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They are free from common human burdens, and they are not plagued by human ills. Therefore, pride is their negligence, and they clothe themselves with violence. From their calloused hearts comes iniquity. Their evil imaginations have no limits. They scoff, and they speak with malice, with arrogance, and they threaten oppression. Their mouths lay claim to heaven, and their tongues they take possession of the earth. Therefore, their people turn to them, and they drink up waters in abundance. They say, how would God know? Does the Most High know anything? This is what the wicked are like, always free of care. They go on amassing wealth. And it kind of sounds like if he was in today's time and he posted that on Facebook, he would fit just right in, because there's so many people who are putting out statements that sound like this, because our world seems to be in chaos. And what's interesting to me, I'll bring it down a little, I know I'm a little intense. Look at the pronouns. And when I see these pronouns, let me read them for you. They, their, they, their, them, their, they. 17 times, according to my count, they. And here's the first thing I learned. Focusing on others will leave us depressed. Have you been focusing on others too much? He then continues, surely in vain have I kept my heart pure and have washed my hands in innocence. All day long I have been afflicted. Every morning brings new punishments. If I had spoken out like that, I would have betrayed our children. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply until I entered the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their final destiny. Me, I. The second thing I see in this psalm is that focusing on yourself will leave you disappointed. God, why don't I get? God, how come my situation? God, why isn't my Zoom working? God, and I see Asaph moving from depressed to disappointed. I've been there, have you? Have you come through, whether it's this season or a previous season, where as you start to focus on the world and the chaos and them, or I and what I don't have and why am I going through this, it leaves us in a state that's fairly hopeless. And even the worship leader at times can go through difficult seasons. And yet this psalm reminds me, verse 18, surely you place them on the slippery ground. You cast them down to ruin. How suddenly they are destroyed, completely swept over by terrors. They are like a dream when one awakens. When you arise, Lord, you will despise them as the fantasies. When my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered, I was senseless and ignorant. I was a brute beast before you, yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Those who are far from you will perish. You destroy all who who are unfaithful to you. But as for me, verse 28, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. Perhaps your study, your homework for the day. Circle the operative pronouns in that last section. You'll see a lot of you, your, you. And in doing that, may you be reminded that focusing on others will leave you depressed, and focusing on yourself will leave you disappointed, but focusing on Jesus, that'll leave you delighted. It is good to be near God. And this week, perhaps instead of focusing on all those other things you could be focusing on, you could remind yourself to stay near God and to stay focused on Him and what He has for you. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.